Okay, for the first part, we need to demonstrate that the client, such as sales, engineering, and finance, is able to access the web FTP server using the HTTP and HTTPS protocol. So I shall open one of the clients here and go to the desktop, open the web browser, and I shall type HTTPS and access the IP address here, which is 172.16.10.3. Sorry, I typed wrong. So as you can see here, the page has successfully loaded. Now to demonstrate for the HTTP protocol, I shall open it in another client. So likewise, I just type the same IP address here, and I get the access to the network here. Now this is possible because first we need to actually create a web address here, a web page here. This is the web page that we have created for this assignment. Welcome to the company, and the header here. Now to prove that we actually really connected to the web FTP server, I will show you that what is the default web address. So as you can see here, the default web address is this: welcome to Cisco Packet Tracer. Likewise here also, it's welcome to Cisco Packet Tracer. So this shows that we actually connected to this server and not the other server. Okay, for the next one, I will demonstrate how the put and get method works. So first, I shall open one of the clients here, and I shall create a file first. So I shall write this is a test, and I shall save it. I shall write there NWS. As you can see here, the file NWS is created and is located in this client. So now I shall transfer this file into the FTP server here. So first I need to log on to the FTP server, but before I do that, I must first actually create a user ID to access the FTP server. To do that, I simply open the FTP server here. I open configuration and click on FTP. So to create a user, I just need to type in user and password and set in the permission. The permissions is actually a security to prevent the users from accessing too much of the privileges and maintain a security defense into the network. So as you can see, I shall use this user ID that was created earlier with the permissions to read and write. So I log into the FTP server. Sorry, I typed in the wrong address. FTP 172.16.10.3. So I type in the username and the password, and now I need to put the file into the server. So I write here put NWS.txt. As you can see here, the thing is successfully transferred. Now I will show you that it has been successfully transferred into the FTP server. So when I click FTP, the file has been successfully transferred here as nws.txt. Now using the get method, I'll get that same file that has been transferred from another computer. So just now I used engineering03. Now I shall use sales04. So I shall open the command prompt here. And type in here first log in to the FTP server. type in the user. I shall get the file nws.txt. As you can see here, the file has successfully been copied. So now, to show you that it has been actually saved into the client, the NWS file has been transferred. Okay, for the next part, I will show how the client PCs can actually connect using the DNS method. So earlier, we connected to the web page using the IP address here. But now, similarly to like typing google.com, I shall use the same method. I shall open one of the clients here and open the web browser. Then I shall type in the website name www.companysite.com, and as you can see here, we can actually access the page without typing the IP address. This is how DNS works. It converts this name into the IP address. So I can actually even type in like this. Instead of typing www, I can type companysite.com. Now how does this work? To make this work, we need to create a DNS server here. This DNS server allows us to configure the IP address to match the record of the website. So if we were to type companysite.com or www.companysite.com, the DNS will actually automatically convert this web address into the IP address to access the network.
Okay, hello, my name is Praveen. Now I'll be teaching you how to send and check email. Okay, as we can see, the finance department are not able to send because it's not been saved under the email nor the DNS server. Okay, in order for me to send the email or to check email from engineering department to the sales department, first I have to check whether are the users already assigned. As you can see, the domain name is mailcompany.com. Alright, then we check for the DNS, go for the email, DNS, sorry. As you can see, it's already been it already has a record together with the IP address. As you can see, the IP address matches with this. Okay, so from now we can send the email. So what we have to do is just go to the email, click. As you can see, these are all the previous ones, so we just delete that. Okay, in order to configure, first we must check username, the user, and the user email address, and we have already assigned password, sorry, username and password. Alright, so now we can just compose. To compose, we just have to type user user2 at mail.com. We can just mail ml.company.com. Subject save under NWS. Presentation. So we can just send it. Okay, now we just have to wait for it to send. Okay, as you can see, we have already received the email from this IP address. So yeah, this is how you send an email and check.
Next, we will need to disable communication between these three networks: the finance department, the engineering department, as well as the sales department. So first things first, I'll show you how to connect to how does finance department connect to engineering department. We shall ping 192.168.2.2, which is the IP address of this PC. Yeah. And as you can see, it shows destination host unreachable. That's because the sender access list is applied into this router onto the sub interfaces that they are on. So to show you the sender access list, go into the CLI. As you can see, the IP access group is set to 1 and outbound traffic. That means that whenever IP addresses packets are sent through this route towards this router, when they are sent out on this interface or this port, they will be blocked by the server. Let's see what is the access list. What's written on the access list. So here you see the access list once denies all IP addresses from 192.168.2.0. That means this whole network is blocked by this router towards this destination, as well as as well as 192.168.3.0, which is the IP address of this network. So as you can see, access list 2 does the same for the other two, and access list 3 does the same for finance and engineering. So other than these IP addresses, it can permit any IP address to enter. Next, to configure the layer 2 protocols, security protocols on the VLANs, the first thing we did was create encapsulation. As you can see above, these three ports are sub-interfaces with the commands of encapsulation.1q10 for VLAN 10, and this for VLAN 20, this VLAN 30, and these IP addresses are all under the same VLANs. Next, trunking. On the switch, the port that is connected to the router is port fast Ethernet 0/21. So as you can see here, move on to port 0/21. The port is set to trunk mode, so that enables it to connect here, to connect this one without having other devices query the connection. Next, we disabled CDP, which is Cisco Discovery Protocol, which would enable some users to do it which would enable neighbors to view information about the devices on the network periodically. So we disabled it by using the command CDP. It was disabled in the switch, this switch. As you can see, all the ports are disabled, all the CDP are disabled on all the ports. The command to do this is by typing no CDP enable, which will not do anything right now because we are not in the configuration mode. Next, we also enable storm control. Storm control allows us to control the level, meaning the bandwidth, the percentage of the bandwidth that we should limit the network to. That means, as you can see, we limited it to level 70, which would shut down the ports if the bandwidth is taken up to 70%. That means if over 70%, or it reaches 70%, the bandwidth is full, up to 70%, the port will be closed, because this would disable any chances of DOS LAN attacks, which is the denial of service. So it also disables overflow attacks. So based on these things, we can, based on all these security protocols for layer 2, we can prevent security problems such as VLAN hopping, double tagging VLAN hopping, STP manipulation attack, and reconnaissance attack. I'll show you how to access the FTP server using a privileged account, which is the FTP admin account that we created. Before this, it has permissions to do all the things that is required. So what we do is we access the FTP account from any PC. We do this by connecting to FTP 172.16.10.3. Oh, it's already been connected, so I'll connect again. FTP 172.16.10.3. So what we can do is we type in the admin account and also the password. So the first command that we can use is directory, which will list all the files on the FTP server. As you can see, there are 2 files that are created by my friends earlier to demonstrate the FTP services. So what we do now is we demonstrate the privilege of the FTP admin. We delete NWS.txt and it's deleted successfully, as you can see from here. It is missing. So I will rename the 1.txt to 2.txt. It's also successfully renamed. Right. So for the IDS, we've created sticky MAC address port security to only allow 1 MAC address per port. So what we did earlier was basically made the port security mode into MAC address sticky. The configuration that we did was we entered port security. We set it to maximum of 1. That means it will only allow 1 MAC address per port, and this MAC address sticky will allow the current MAC address to be the default port that they will allow. So you can see the MAC address is on sticky. So if I were to say remove this, let me add another computer right here, and to link it back here. As you can see, the port shut itself down to prevent from any intrusions. So that's how we do the sticky MAC address. The last thing that I will show would be the connectivity between the Singapore branch to the rest of the server, the network. So using this ping tool, we can see that it can ping to the router successfully. So delete this, and we will try pinging the PCs down in engineering, and also these three. We'll try using these services. So what we do is we go into command prompt, ping 92.168.2.2, which is the PC, engineering 1 PC. As you can see, there's a reply. So this proves that it can easily connect to the PC there. And we will configure it with an email account. Compose a mail to user1 at mail.hi. Hello. Send. As you can see, the sending was successful. So we go to this PC which was configured with the user1 email and click receive. As you can see, it's received successfully. Other than that, you can also connect to the web page companysite.com, no problems, by using HTTP as well as HTTPS. Lastly, you can also connect to the FTP server. This is the same server that we've seen earlier. So thank you for watching. This has been our presentation.